Time to fuel your business success. Welcome to Harmonious at Lunch. We're bringing you bite-sized advice and expert conversations to drive clarity and growth 5 days a week. Make sure you join our Facebook group at humanopt.com/lunch, where listeners like you and our guests hang out so we can find harmony in business together. If you're building a business, you're in the right place. Let's dive in.
Welcome back into some more Harmonious at Lunch. In today's episode, we're talking about, I have no idea. So I just met my guest. We came on behind the scenes and we were talking. We had a topic in mind. And then she said, I do this really cool thing where I just launched a YouTube channel and I have 8,000 subscribers. And I said, I want to hear more about that because that sounds really cool. So Aurora Winter, welcome to the show. And thank you so much for being here.
Great to be here, Brandon. So we're going to be talking about strategic storytelling and my new YouTube channel, which is Strategic Basics. But I'm a communicator. I have a background in film and television. I've written 10 books. I launched a film and television production company, raised $5 million, made 8 films. So I know a little bit about communication. I'm obsessed with communication. So
yeah, a little bit, it sounds like.
Yeah, just a little bit since I was 9. So what I'd love to share with you and your audience, Brandon, is some strategic storytelling that they can use. And how I think it'll be fastest and easiest and most fun to reveal that is, why did I launch this YouTube channel, Strategic Basics? And what does this mean for other people? And do they want to maybe launch a YouTube channel or do something like that? So
first of all, I just have to say, I love how you're doing my job of posing the questions and then just going, I'm going to sit back here. You let me know when this episode is over. And this is amazing. This is my favorite episode already.
All right. I love that it's your favorite episode already.
Thanks for being such a good sport too, by the way. But yeah, let's dive in. I answer that question first. And then I definitely want to hear about this channel and how our listeners can maybe take the lessons from this and think outside the box and grow their presence and also increase their communication skills. So please take it away.
Exactly. So what I noticed is that SEO is dead. Google is no longer the #1 search engine, or maybe it still is this nanosecond, but it's on the way out and it's going to be replaced by ChatGPT or other AI powered search engines. So the #1 search engine is shifting to AI. The #2 search engine is YouTube. So makes it important. And the #3 search engine is actually Amazon, which makes it important to have a book on Amazon. Also, if you have a book on Amazon, the LLMs or AI like ChatGPT index Goodreads and Amazon. So if you want to hit all 3, the power move of strategic storytelling is to have a book on Amazon, be on YouTube, and then because you do those things, you will then show up on ChatGPT and other things like that. So given all that, that's why I started the YouTube channel Strategic Basics. YouTube has just overtaken Netflix. There's more downloads on YouTube than any other streaming platform, including Netflix, Amazon Prime, Apple. YouTube is the new Netflix. And because I'm a TV producer, I got to be on YouTube.
You have to. Yeah. It's really interesting though. We had an episode a couple of weeks ago about showing up on AI when in search, because what you said is 100% true.
Yeah.
The good news is that Google owns YouTube. So your efforts on Google SEO, they will not be wasted. They're still important. That stuff is still important, but having a consistent brand image, if the AI can't recognize you on a variety of different platforms, it doesn't believe your message necessarily. That's the oversimplified way of putting it. So what you're saying is super important. But then the other thing I heard is, I'm exhausted already because you're telling me I got to write a book. It's got to be on Amazon. Now I got to start a YouTube channel and I got to figure out how AI needs to see me. So what are the baby steps here? Break this down, because you had the books, right? Then you started the channel. You didn't do this all at once. What was the order of operations for you?
First baby step is take a deep breath.
Okay, good.
You don't have to do it all today, and you want to play to your strengths, and you want to do something that you will enjoy, because otherwise it won't be sustainable. So I like talking, and so I thought the other benefit of YouTube is people get to see my face, because very soon everything will all be AI. So I think we need to double down on being human, and there's a value in that. And strategically, as you want to double down on what your superpowers are. Everybody has individual superpowers, but then also think, where is all the competition, and could I do something different? So, for example, Strategic Basics, my new YouTube channel, is distinct from most podcasts and most YouTube channels, which give, there you go, Strategic Basics, which give basically kind of evergreen how-to advice. So I thought, well, what's the opposite of evergreen? Breaking news. And then I'm like, well, I still have to play to my strengths. I'm not a Fox News anchor. So breaking news plus business breakthroughs, which would usually be around strategic storytelling, because that's my thing. So an example would be on June 26, 2025, Faith Kipyegon is being backed by Nike to challenge the 4-minute mile, because a woman has never broken the 4-minute mile record. Roger Bannister broke it in the 1950s, but women are a little bit smaller, a little bit slower. So June 26, 2025, Nike is backing Faith Kipyegon doing this in Paris. So we will see, as we're recording this before that date, if that works. So the takeaway there is, what can you do that's current, that's now, to support your community and build your brand? Nike's brand is really around human potential being kind of limitless. And so whether Faith wins or loses, their brand is still congruent. And then the second thing that Nike has is they have a wonderful book called Shoe Dog, and that is classic IP. So the message is, how can you be current? How can you always be connecting with what's happening now and serving your community now? But can you also add a classic piece of IP? Interestingly enough, Shoe Dog, which I wanted to do that breaking episode on it because I just read it. It's been out for a decade. And it's Phil Knight's memoir of how he started Nike. And I found it so interesting. It was actually written or a collaboration with a ghostwriter who is a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist. He apparently got paid north of $1 million for his help, J.R. Moringer. But it's written like a movie. It's the hero's journey. It's the opposite of bragging. It's all about all the times that Nike almost went bust. Anyway, so the takeaway is, here's some breaking news stories. This happened June 26, 2025. We'll have to see if Faith won or not. Blew the 4-minute mile for women. And then I'm challenging the people who may be leaders or entrepreneurs to have both a current element with what they're doing. You always want to be current, and then also a classic piece of IP.
So let's make a prediction, because we're recording this 3 days before she's doing it. Do you think she's going to make it? Is she going to break the 4-minute mile?
Yeah, I don't think she will. She has to shave off 7.6 seconds, which is quite a lot.
It's a lot when you're running. And
even if she does break it, they may not count it, because they are planning on having like male pacers to break the wind for her. And I think that would bar it from being record. But who knows? She's amazing. She's a gold medalist. She's won all kinds of medals. So we shall see.
I like the answer without answering there. It's maybe, probably not, but you never know. I guess we'll see.
Oh, guilty as charged.
Yeah, that's okay. I called you out on it. But I'm curious about the breaking news aspect, because you said, what's everybody else doing? Evergreen content. Let me do the opposite, which is breaking news. The reason everybody does evergreen is because we're all lazy and we want that content to be valuable in the future. There's nothing wrong with that. But you're like, no, I want to stay on top of the ball and have to produce content all the time. Did it stress you out a little bit? Like, what was the strategic?
Well, after I made the strategic choice to go in the opposite direction, because I am a contrarian, because usually that's where the value is. Then I realized, holy shit, I'm spending 6 hours researching it, and then a couple hours shooting it, and then my son's spending 4 hours editing it. That's a lot of time for like a 10-minute episode. But I'm having fun. So I also invite everybody, think about, what game can you play that even if you lose, you win. So I'm playing this game called Strategic Basics on YouTube. And I figure even if I lose, whatever lose means, I win, because I'm paying more attention to the news. I'm becoming a better speaker. I have more information at my fingertips because, once you've written an episode and recorded it, I actually remember, the name of the ghostwriter, Moringer, which probably I wouldn't if I hadn't invested that time. And so it makes me a better guest on podcasts and a more interesting human being. Plus, another innovative / ridiculously absurd thing that I'm doing is audiobooks are super, super popular. So I'm doing a video book. So each episode of Strategic Basics is basically the chapter of a book, which will probably be called Strategic Storytelling. Not exactly sure. Maybe it'll be called Strategic something else, marketing. And you can read the story, or you can click over to YouTube and watch the video, because nobody's done that. So I like to be first.
I was just going to say, that's new. I haven't heard that ever. Super
I
cool.
know. But if you think about it, we're more and more engaged with audio and video and a little less engaged with print. But the thing about print is so evergreen. It lasts forever. It gives you that status. The root of the word authority is author. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, Strategic Basics is basically for entrepreneurs, leaders, and experts who are more in the or creators. So this is me. So I get to research things that I'm interested in and then share it. I have another episode which will be out by the time this airs about an author who had a day job, and he managed to quit his day job by leaning into YouTube. And amazingly, what he did is he turned his zombie apocalyptic sci-fi thrillers into short novellas, only about like half an hour long, and then posted that with AI narration and posted them on YouTube with ad breaks. He uses a company called Red Circle to find the best ad placements. And as soon as he doesn't do any advertising, this is the part that kind of shocked me. So as soon as he does it, in 1 week, he always produces a new story every week. He puts it on YouTube. He also puts it on Spotify and other podcasts, but he makes most of his money from YouTube. Every time he drops an episode, he makes immediately $100 on YouTube. And then he has a long tail because he's got over 100 books. So people who discover, his zombie world and like it can go deeper. And it's called Dead America. And now, after I bragged that I was remembering people's names, I'm like, his first name is Derek. His last name is Kate. So go to Strategic Basics and you can see all the links and everything. But I went and checked out Dead America on YouTube, and I really liked the AI voice. It wasn't as bad as I was expecting. And then I also looked at the cost of having a human narrator, because I have a fantasy series. The third one is coming out in August. Here's the first one. Magic Mystery, the Multiverse. So it's young adult fantasy. So I'm like, I could do that with my young adult fantasy. So it would cost about $5,000 or so per book to have a human narrator, $7,500 if the book is long. But with AI narration, it's basically free.
$12. Yeah, it's a bit of a cost difference.
So I'm like, well, maybe I'll play with it. So I actually asked on Strategic Basics after I explained that. I'm like, give me the vote. Let me know if you would be interested in listening to an AI narrated audiobook for young adults. It won the Reader's Choice Award, Best Book for Teens. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Either way, market research, and I'm giving everybody who responds a free ebook.
That's super cool.
Yeah, why not? Engage with the community.
Yeah, right. No, it's really fascinating to me. And honestly, I like the way you look at it, because that's the way I look at this podcast. Harmonious at Lunch is an epic fail by all accounts of what normal people would judge on podcast success. But for me, I told you this before we started recording, I get to meet so many people. This is episode 411. So I've met over 400 people who there's a 100% chance I would not have met them had this show not existed. We get to put out content. We get to help people. I hear from the community and the listeners that episodes actually helped them. First of all, I didn't know that people would listen to this show. So that's cool that people even listen to it. But like, there's so many things that are these side benefits. Is it monetized? And am I a millionaire because of this podcast? Absolutely not. But it was never the intention. So to me, it's a win across the board. And it's cool that you have that mindset too. Looking at, taking this concept to the listeners of this show, because yeah, we have them, which is amazing.
Congratulations. That's
I
awesome.
love you, all of you listeners. You're my favorite people in the world just for tuning into the show. But they're business owners, they're entrepreneurs, they have teams, they're busy. Starting a YouTube channel might not be in the cards. Writing a book might not be in the cards. Also, the mindset of what in the world am I going to share with people is
Right.
very prevalent. So what's an actionable piece of advice where we can start to roll this stone, if you will, to pick up momentum? Because are you going to do it all in 1 week? No, but you could absolutely get this done over the next 12 to 24 months and look back and say, wow, Aurora was right. I changed my life because of this.
Aurora's right. Yay. Well, I think an easy action is to start paying attention to stories, because people remember stories 27 times more than they remember data. And I think educated people tend to lean into data, but you could start collecting stories. Collect stories of your clients or patients whose lives you've changed, or your own life when you hit challenges, and look for that hero's journey story, which is challenge, 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 almost giving up, and then breakthrough. What was the breakthrough? And if you collect these stories, write them down in a journal. Even if my 90-day challenge is write every day, read every day, and once a week review what you've written. So if you could challenge yourself to just spend 5 minutes a day capturing stories of people that you talk to, or your own experiences, your grandmother, your cousin, whatever the case may be. And then for free, you can read my book, Turn Words into Wealth. I give the ebook away for free at turnwordsintowealth.com, or you can get it on Amazon, and it will walk you through different blueprints for communication. The hero's journey is the one that I was just talking about. A myth bust is another one. So when you start to gather powerful communication sound bites, then later you can tell them at work, you can use them to get a raise, you can use them to have an enrolling conversation, or who knows, you might even want to share them on social media, share them in a YouTube video. If you collect enough, maybe you want to write a book. So, but the first step is to understand that most people undervalue being an effective communicator. And studies have shown that the same thing for sale with a story and without a story. The item with the story can sell for up to 27 times more, not twice as much, 27 times as much. A story actually adds value. It adds meaning, and people are meaning-seeking bioorganisms.
We are. It's what AI can't compete with, and it's really, really cool. Especially, we're all humans. That's how we connect with each other. I saw a study on that. Someone posted items on eBay, and they were like stupid broken items that for sale for like 5 cents, 50 cents, didn't sell. Put a story behind it in the description. Now it was 100% made up, and they didn't actually take people's money, but they went through and sold them for like tens and hundreds of dollars. The same item that wouldn't sell for 50 cents. Sold
you might have saw that on social media from somebody interviewing me. That's from the book Significant Objects.
I saw you, and I'm quoting you on my podcast. This is crazy.
It's very meta.
Are we in the Matrix, Aurora? Is this?
I think we might be in the Matrix.
Is this real? Am I in a room right now? Where am I?
Yeah, and
That's
they were 100 distinct objects, and the stories were written by 100 different people. Some were writers, some weren't writers. And what was interesting is the stories just added significance. They weren't hype. So, but that did add value. In fact, when I took my MBA, there's another experiment where they did a taste test with wine. And if you thought you were drinking a $5 wine versus a $50 bottle of wine, your taste buds and your brain actually lit up differently. So the story about it was a $50 wine, and it was like, harvested in a certain place in a certain year when the grapes were just so, actually created a different tasting experience that was actually different in your brain. So stories add value.
Yeah, it's so cool. Well, I can't wait to quote that story now in the future, hopefully to you back on this show, because this was way too much fun, Aurora. I absolutely love having you here. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Oh, thanks so much, Brandon. It was a hoot.
So for the listeners, you tell me, we're going to Strategic Basics on YouTube. I'll put it on the screen one more time. What do you want people to pay attention to or get out of subscribing to your channel?
Well, I would love to connect with people and hear what kind of stories and tips that they want, but there's already 20 or so great videos up, which I think you'll find something that interests you. If you are a leader or a creative entrepreneur and you want to be your best self and have more stories, more strategies, more branding, more marketing tips, it's all about turning your words into wealth, but using breaking news stories.
I love it. So if you're listening, we had planned a completely different episode. As I told you in the beginning, I have all of those resources and I will make sure to include those in the show notes below. So a copy or a link to the book so you can get that, but definitely go over to Strategic Basics on YouTube. And everything else is in the show notes. So Aurora, thank you. Listeners, thank you. And we'll see you on tomorrow's episode of Harmonious at Lunch.
Another episode of Harmonious at Lunch in the books. I hope this episode made you think and you grabbed some actionable ideas to propel your business. Don't forget to like, comment your takeaways, and subscribe wherever you're listening so we can help more entrepreneurs just like you achieve harmony in your life and business. For cutting-edge tools that bring clarity to your people and processes, check out humanoff.com to download our app today. See you next time.